So a few days ago I made a video talking about my 2019-20 season expectations for the Detroit Red Wings. Now in today's video I'm going to do the same thing, but with the Vancouver Canucks. It's another team I'm very interested in to see how they do. I'm interested to see how their young players, take another step forward. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to do this for all 31 teams just yet, but I'm definitely going to do it for a good amount of teams that I'm interested in heading into next season. So without further ado, let's get right into this video. So starting off by just giving a quick little recap of how the Canucks fared last season. They finished the year with a 35, 36, and 11 record, good for 5th in the Pacific Division, and they were overachievers in a lot of people's eyes. I know heading into the season, a good amount of people had them, pegged as probably going to be one of the worst teams in the league, and they were kind of fighting for a playoff spot down the stretch, obviously because, the wild card was just so wide open in the Western Conference. But I think this is really a year that they can build off of, and obviously the big story for them was Elias Pettersson and his sensational rookie season. 66 points, he was also their leading goal scorer with 28 goals. He won the Calder Trophy, and he definitely is going to be the face of this franchise moving forward. A guy who, was hyped up a lot heading into the league, and he definitely lived up to that hype, and I think we're in for another leap forward for him next year. If he would have stayed healthy, he definitely probably would have been a 30 goal scorer and a 70-point guy, but obviously injuries do happen, and you can never control stuff like that. Some notable rookies, obviously Elias Pettersson, Adam Gaudette, Thatcher Demko, and Quinn Hughes when he came in and played a couple games towards the end of the season after his collegiate year was over. Obviously these four rookies probably will play a significant part of the Vancouver Canucks future. I want to start off by talking about Adam Gaudette. I think he has the potential to be a very, very good, bottom six center in the NHL and be a good role player, a guy who can kill penalties, he's aggressive, and he does have some offensive upside. He played 14 AHL games last year and had 5 goals and 6 assists for 11 points in those 14 games. Played in 56 NHL games, 5 goals, 7 assists for a total of 12 points. But like I said, he's not going to be a guy who they count on to give you a lot of offense in the future. That's going to be for, the Brock Bessers, the Elias Petterssons, and players like that, but I definitely think Adam Gaudette can be a big piece of this team moving forward. Next rookie I'll touch on is goaltender Thatcher Demko, who most likely will be the future starter of this team, but definitely won't be next year. I think that still belongs to Jacob Markstrom, who had a fantastic season. He was the MVP of the Vancouver Canucks last year, even though Elias Pettersson had a remarkable year. Markstrom kept them in a lot of games and definitely did steal a lot of games for them. But now getting back to Thatcher Demko, he's a 23-year-old goaltender for the Canucks. He was a second-round pick by them, 36th overall in 2014. Played in 9 NHL games last year, had a record of 4-3-1 with a .913 save percentage and a 2.81 goals against. And like I said, he's going to be the future starter for this team, but I think next year we will see him as a consistent backup. He played the majority of his games last year in the American Hockey League, 16 games played there, 8-6-0 record. Unfortunately, last year Thatcher Demko did struggle with a little bit of injury issues, but nothing that they should be concerned about for the future, and we weren't really able to see what he's really capable of as an AHL starter or an NHL backup. But next year I think we're really going to get to see a lot more of Thatcher Demko in an NHL backup role and get to really see what he's capable of and what his future could look like for the Vancouver Canucks. And the last rookie I want to touch on is obviously Quinn Hughes. Technically still going to be a rookie next season, but I still wanted to talk about him because he did play in 5 NHL games and he looked fantastic. He showed all the potential that everyone was excited about. He had 3 assists in those 5 games, and in my opinion he can be one of the better power play quarterbacks in the entire league, strictly just based off of his amazing skating ability, his edge work, his ability to just move the puck up the ice quickly, and obviously he is an excellent playmaker as a defenseman. We know that from his 3 assists in his 5 NHL games that he played, and if you have him quarterbacking a power play with amazing goal scorers like Brock Besser, great players like Elias Pettersson who can really just do it all, I think just from a pure power play perspective, this is going to be a very, very exciting team to watch next year. And last year they were almost a playoff team, and I think they are a better team now after some of the moves that they made this offseason than they were during the regular season last year. So there definitely should be a lot to look forward to from Vancouver Canucks fans next season, and this will be a very, very exciting team to watch. So now getting into my player stats predictions, I did this for the Red Wings, and remember this is kind of just all hypothetical if they all do play in 82 games, which they most likely won't. We're going to see some injuries here and there, but this is basically just their points per 82 games, what I see them doing if they do stay healthy for the full season. So leading the way in points, I think it is pretty obvious it'll be Elias Pettersson. If he does stay healthy, I have him 32 goals, 42 assists for 74 points, but I would not be surprised in the slightest if he is up there around a point per game. Next up, Brock Besser, I have him being a 40 goal scorer if healthy for a total of 70 points, after signing that new contract that he's going to sign hopefully sometime this summer. I think he's going to be in for a really, really good year. Bo Horvat, I have him at 69 points. I think Bo Horvat, his ceiling is more of like a two-way forward who can be up there around 70 points, but is most likely, there for just his 200-foot game and his leadership, obviously, with these young Canucks. Canucks. Then I have JT Miller, the new acquisition, 60 points, especially if he is playing with some of these talented forwards in Vancouver. Next, Sven Baertschi. I know I spelled his name wrong there, but I did fix it in some of the later, graphics here. But I have Sven Baertschi, 47 points, because I think he will be playing in a top 6 role there, and it's going to be pretty easy to get points playing with so many talented guys, like a Pettersson and a Besser and Miller and Horvat in them. And then I have Jake Virtanen, 20 goals, 22 assists for 42 points, having that breakout year because I think he has all the capability in the world to be a 20 goal scorer. He's super fast, he's big. I just think he needs to learn how to use that size and speed well to protect the puck and just drive the net and obviously hit the net when he does decide to shoot it. But he had a good year and definitely something I think he can build off heading into next season. Now taking a look at some projected lines for the Canucks next season, and I'm not the biggest Canuck fan. I don't watch every single one of their games, so I'm not the best person on this, but the line combinations obviously can change, but these are just some of the players that I think could be matched up together and will most likely be in the lineup for the majority of the season. First line, I have Sven Baertschi, Elias Pettersson, and Brock Besser. I think Pettersson and Besser will most definitely be on the same line the whole year. I think they have amazing chemistry already and definitely will be a force to be reckoned with. And then I have JT Miller, Bo Horvat, and Jake Virtanen. I think that is a really solid second line, centered by Bo Horvat, who, like I said, has a great 200-foot game, and then JT Miller back in a top 6 role consistently now with the Vancouver Canucks. I can see him, having 55 to 60 points like we saw in the player stats predictions. And then obviously on the other wing, I have Jake Virtanen, who I think his size and his speed and his skill can really complement Miller and Horvat well. And then I have Josh Levo, Adam Gaudette, and Tanner Pearson. And I think having a guy like Tanner Pearson on your third line, that provides you some really good scoring depth. And Josh Levo played really well for the Canucks last season after coming over from the Leafs, so I think he will get a job, in the top 9 out of training camp. Then the fourth line, I have Jay Beagle, Tyler Mott, and Brandon Sutter. Obviously, all 3 of those guys can play the center position, but I think that would be a very, very good shutdown fourth line. So all in all, you have a really solid crop of forwards, and then you have Louis Eriksson, Antoine Roussel, and Nikolai Goldobin, who could obviously be interchangeable with a lot of those guys in the lineup. So, I'm not saying my lines are going to be right. They're most definitely not going to be. It's kind of just a projection from a guy who isn't really the biggest Canucks fan and doesn't really have all the knowledge that someone who watches all the Canucks game would have. But I think we're in for a very exciting year for the Vancouver Canucks. So their team I'm going to be keeping a close eye on. I like to see Canadian teams do well, and hopefully next year Vancouver can get back into the playoffs. It will be tough, but building off the year they had last year, they definitely have the potential to do so. Now taking a look at some projections for the D pairings for the Canucks next season, I have Edler with Tanev. I think that is a solid pairing. Alex Edler just got that new contract extension, and Chris Tanev is a very solid defenseman as well. And then you have the rookie Quinn Hughes playing with Tyler Myers. I think that would be a really good D pairing there. Tyler Myers can look out for Quinn Hughes. He's obviously a big guy, and he can definitely stick up for him. And as much as Canucks fans probably don't like that Tyler Myers contract, their D-core is better now than it was last season. And in my opinion, I think as a fan, that's really all you can ask for, your team improving, and that is exactly what they did by acquiring Tyler Myers. And then the third pairing, I have Jordy Ben with Troy Stetcher, and I wouldn't even be surprised if Troy Stetcher gets up there, the top 2 pairings. I think having him as your bottom pairing defenseman, that you're doing okay in terms of your D-core. I'm a fan of Jordy Ben on that bottom pairing as well. He's one of the new pickups. And then in goal, I have Jakob Markstrom and Thatcher Demko, who I think can be a really solid tandem in net, especially if Jacob Markstrom can play as good this up-and-coming season as he did last year. Then I think the Canucks are in a very good position and could potentially be a pretty dangerous team. But I'm very curious to hear what you guys think, especially if you're a fan of the Vancouver Canucks here. Before I get into my final team predictions, do you guys think that they will make the jump into the playoffs? I think it will be difficult, but they definitely do have the potential to do so. It should be a very interesting season, but yeah, just make sure to let me know down in the comment section all your predictions for the Vancouver Canucks heading into next season. But now let's get into my final team predictions for the Vancouver Canucks heading into the 2019-2020 season. So my final predictions for the Canucks record next season is 40, 35, and 7. More wins than they had this past season. I think they're going to finish 4th in the Pacific Division, but I don't see them making the playoffs. I think it's going to be like it was this past season, where 3 teams from the Pacific make it, and then 5 teams from the Central Division make it. But I hope I'm wrong. I want to see the Vancouver Canucks get back into the playoffs, but I think, it's going to take a little bit more time. I don't see them just immediately jumping in next year, even though I hope they do. I still think it's going to be tough, especially, in the Western Conference, but you never know. They could squeak in as a wildcard team, especially, if the wildcard race is as wide open as it was this past season. And then, as you guys saw in, the player stats predictions, my leading point scorer prediction is Pettersson with 74, and leading goal scorer prediction is Brock Besser with 40 goals. So that is going to wrap up today's video. I really hope you guys did enjoy, and like I said earlier in the video, if you are a fan of the Vancouver Canucks especially, make sure to let me know down in the comment section all your predictions and your expectations for the team heading into next season. And also, if you want to see me do these type of videos on every single NHL team heading into next year, then let me know down in the comment section below. I'm just not quite sure if everybody, would watch one, say, on like the Minnesota Wild or Arizona or teams like that. So let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. And with that being said, thanks for watching. I hope you guys all enjoyed today's video. If you did, please make sure to drop a like on it and subscribe to the channel for daily NHL content, and I will see you guys all in the next video.